I've been studying these things for years, and now I'm coming with close encounters of exactly what I studied. And it's with people that are my friends for years, that I know them, and they're not trying to hog the limelight or trying to be something. So what I want to explain this morning, I guess the point is very simple. Don't doubt attainments that can arise in your mind. And do not doubt that these attainments can be taken into your next life, and the next life, and the next life. I promise you, as you go along with the practice of Dharma and the study of Dharma, I promise you, you will be more and more affirmed with next life and previous life. Some of you will even be able to have flashbacks of your previous life. Some of you, it's not going to be up to me to do it. I don't have any power to do that. But some of you will have flashbacks. If not flashbacks, very strong sense of familiarity. I'm not talking about deja vu. Deja vu is just a flash. I'm talking about a very strange and strong sense of familiarity. Example, when I was in Tibet recently, I went to Ganden. I went to so many holy places. It was all wonderful, and it was beautiful. When I went to Ganden, when we were at the bottom, when we were halfway up, when we were just about to enter, I started crying. I didn't want to cry, because there were people there, and Rinpoches don't cry. So, I didn't want to cry. So I could not stop crying, and I had to control myself. And what I felt was this, that the place was very holy, and the place was it was just seeping and seething with a quiet, solemn, holy energy. I can't describe it. It's like the walls are empty, and the place is filled with snow, and there's no pujas, nothing going on. Yet, the walls and the energy in the place reverberates with some sort of energy, and I can't describe it. And when I felt this energy, I couldn't stop crying when I entered Ganden. So, of course, I looked away. I didn't want anybody to see and video me and get on the YouTube, look, the big baby cries. And then when I got up there, when I walked in, I was like, oh. I didn't remember, I didn't feel anything, but I just felt so good. And I'm not biased. I love all the monasteries, but with Ganden, I felt particularly very at home. It was the only place I thought, I can stay here during the summer. Because there was snow and sleet everywhere and ice, and I was walking, with my slim body and my oxygen tank, and my oxygen tank was this big. And then the slaves would carry it because, it was quite big. And so I had to slave myself, and I had to carry it, and I was walking, and I was like, trying to not to fall and look stupid. Anyways, really, these are things that you come across after time, and you realize when you study it, and you come across these people, you realize it really does exist. Death and old age and sickness and suffering. No one on this planet had that secret. So Milarepa was very good in doing magic. He was very good in plowing the fields. He was very good in building houses. He knew all that. He knew the secular stuff. You're saying, what's the big deal? You see, in their time, that was a big deal. In our time, being able to write, being on the internet, knowing people, all that is very, very important. But at every stage of human existence, there were activities to humans that at that time was very important. Was very like, wow, if you knew that, you're somebody. So Milarepa came to his guru thinking he had more knowledge than his guru. But for secular affairs, he did. He did have more knowledge. He expected his guru to be on the throne. He expected his guru to talk like this. He expected his guru to dress like this. He expected his guru to be very compassionate. And listen, he even expected that his guru's method of compassion must fit his projection. Because when Milarepa was not ready and he came to the teaching hall, what happened? Marpa personally got up. His guru personally got up, pulled him by the ear, and took him out and threw him out and said, go to the fields and work. And Milarepa was in the fields working, or he was in a kitchen cooking, having all types of ugly and negative thoughts about his guru. What kind of guru is this? I come here for Dharma teachings, and I'm a slave. My guru, Geshe Tsudam Gyaltsen, told us in America, Marpa made Milarepa do this. He made him memorize texts, cook and carry his baby on the back in the kitchen at the same time, while Marpa was in the teaching hall on a big throne giving Hiruka initiations to his rich disciples. I mean, all these disciples they came with, amber and coral, and how Tibetans put all their wealth on their head, and they came with all kinds of ornaments and silver and gaus, and they were all so grand and wonderful, and they came for the teachings. And Marpa is destitute. He doesn't have any money. And he came to Marpa, Milarepa came to Marpa 100% to learn the Dharma. 100%. Yet, Marpa did everything to Milarepa opposite of what a guru should act like in Milarepa's projection. So Milarepa even says in his testimonies, I'm in the kitchen cooking. I have to collect the firewood. I have to watch the baby. I have to collect the yak dung for the fire. I have to dry it. I have to plow the fields. I have to fetch the water from the river. And I still don't get any Dharma teachings. I still don't get any Dharma teaching. Every time Marpa's in there talking away, giving initiation, I'm not allowed to attend. I'm not allowed to even be near the attendance of the teachings. And you know how that was confirmed? Because Milarepa even went to the wife and complained to Marpa's wife. He complained. And he bitched, and he whined, and he complained politely, because he felt the guru must do things his way. The guru must be compassionate his way. The guru must teach the Dharma his way. The guru must convey the Dharma according to his projection, his upbringing, his conception, his type of comfort zone. And when the guru didn't do that, he was rude in his mind. He was rude. He was very, very gossipy. He had mountains of negative thoughts about his guru. But outwardly, he was like, guru. Now, he wasn't outwardly rude. But inwardly, he was very, very rude. Because and you can read his testimonies, how he had so many doubts about it. Every little thing his guru did, he had doubts. Everything that the guru gave him, he had doubts. And there were hundreds and hundreds, I mean it, hundreds of times, he wanted to give up and leave. And he did at one time. He did give up and leave. He went to the wife of his guru, and he said to his wife, and said, you know what? I came here for Dharma, and all I got was scolding, yelling, screaming, abuse, hard work. I've been literally a slave. He didn't say slave, but he said, I've been literally just a yopo, worker. I plow the fields. I harvest the grains. He stayed there for, 13 seasons or 14 seasons. I watch a baby. I collect the firewood. I go to the river and get the water. I collect the dung. And I have to clean. And I have to wake up before all of you wake up. And I go to sleep after you go to sleep. And I didn't get even one single word of Dharma from Marpa. He complained to the wife. And you know what? To all outward appearances, it looked like he had no Dharma. But the incredible thing is, the first minute he arrived, Marpa gave him Dharma by pushing his ego down. Because if he has his ego and he goes and meditates, if he has his self-grasping mind and selfishness and his projections, he will never attain anything. Why do you go to a guru? You don't go to the guru with your set of values and morals and ideas and how you think should be, and then you force it on the guru. Yes, your guru may be not as smart as you for secular items, but you know what? Your secular knowledge will not help you at the time of death. It's not going to help you when the world blows up. It's not going to help you when you age. It's not going to help you at all. So the guru has knowledge to transcend all of that. Hence, he complained to the wife, and the wife felt great pity for him. For the wife to save his last shred of faith in his guru. The wife was very compassionate, very, very compassionate. To save the last shred of faith he had in Marpa, she gave him her own jewelry, and she wrote a letter on his stationery. And she signed and sealed it using her husband's, the guru's, tikse stamp. And she sent him to one of the most renowned disciples of Marpa. So Milarepa took the letter and the offering, and he gratefully thanked the wife. He thought, oh, somebody's on my side. Again, his projection. Because when he thinks the wife is on his side, he's automatically projecting that his guru or her husband is bad. But that's not the case. The guru worked very hard to cut his ego. You know what was Milarepa's big problem? He wanted things done his way. He wanted everything, his projection, he wanted in his comfort zone according to what he felt a guru should act. How a guru should act is what he felt. And that's why he could not attend teachings till he breaks that concept. And the incredible thing is, he went to the student of Marpa, another renowned master, who's attained mastery, who's attained what we call emptiness. And he received teaching. And the minute he arrived, you know what? He loved this new guru. He loved him. Because the new guru was on a throne. The new guru was wearing robes. The new guru was in the prayer hall, just like this is going Tom Chin. And the new guru was very kind and spoke gentle words to him. And when Milarepa handed Marpa's letter to this disciple, when he saw it was his guru's letter, this guy went like this. Oh my God, my guru ordered me to train his own student. It was an honor. So he was extra kind to Milarepa. Extra nice, extra comforting, extra special. Milarepa had special cushions, sat at the front of the teachings, everything special. And after he received the teachings, Milarepa was instructed to go to a cave nearby this new guru's home to do retreats. And you know, Milarepa's not like us. He didn't fall asleep. He wasn't looking for hot water. He wasn't looking for a heater. He didn't care if there was an inverter. He didn't care if there was good food, from I don't know where. He didn't care if it was long. He really meditated. Listen, besides all his negative mental projections, he really had diligence. He sat in that cave for morning and night, and he never left. And he meditated on whatever this new guru gave him. And it was season after season after season. And when he came down from the cave to confer with his guru, and the guru would ask for signs, because before you give the next stage of meditation, there are certain signs that the student must reveal to the guru that the guru will not tell. If they receive the sign, example, before a guru gives initiation, we have a pre-initiation ceremony. And during that ceremony, you're given some blessed grass, kusha grass, that you're supposed to put under your bed and pillow. And in that night, if you have negative dreams, tomorrow you may not attend initiation. It means you will not be successful in this practice. In fact, you cannot hold the commitments. And there have been people who have been expelled from the initiation hall because of that. If you have an auspicious dream, you're allowed to stay. That happened with Saranji. I didn't have any negative dreams. I had a good dream, and some I didn't have. Then he says, if you had no dream, you could still attend. I didn't want to know what that meant because I had no dream. In any case, so before you receive this set of teachings, this set of teachings, this set of teachings from the master, you have to have received this sign, that sign, this sign, that sign. Then the master knows your mind is on the right track. Before you receive this sign, if the teacher gives you prematurely, he breaks his vow. That's why you read in the tantric vows, if a teacher reveals the secrets of tantra or emptiness to an unready disciple, the disciple is not ready, he breaks his commitment. What happens when he breaks his commitment? When he does that, he makes himself unqualified. And that is to protect the student and the student, disciple, and guru from malpracticing or commercializing the teachings. Why? If you don't have these signs and I give you the practice anyway, why? Why am I giving it to you? I want some material benefit. I want praise. I want your help. So I disqualify myself. So those vows are to protect the teacher and the student from false teachers, the teacher from teaching falsely. So the vows of Tantra not only is about students, it's about the gurus themselves. So hence, he came down and the guru asked him, blah, 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 back and forth. And he was shocked. It says in the biography, the new teacher was shocked because Milarepa didn't get any of the preliminary signs from the practice. Not even a flicker of a sign. Not even a flicker. So after a few seasons, he said to Milarepa, who gave you this letter? Who gave you this letter? So Milarepa confessed, my dear Venerable Sir, it was the wife of my guru. You mean the guru didn't give the letter? And Milarepa says, no, the wife gave it. He said, oh my God. I've committed a great offense. I have taught in a region where my guru resides without my guru's permission. I've committed a great offense. Immediately, this disciple packed up his things, packed up Milarepa's things, took his offerings and items, went straight to Marpa's house, prostrated to Marpa, and very strongly confessed his sin and said, my dear Guru Marpa, I have taught you disciple without your permission. I received this letter, I didn't know. So Milarepa said, it's the end of the line for me. He was really scared. But Marpa was very compassionate. He welcomed him back. He welcomed him back into slavery. He came back literally to slavery. He went back to collecting firewood, getting water from the river. And I'm telling you, it's a couple of kilometers away. I'm plowing the fields, watching the kids, cooking. He cannot attend teachings. And then Milarepa says, do you really want the Dharma? Marpa said to Milarepa, do you really want the Dharma? And Milarepa was thinking, what do you think I'm here for, to be a slave? Yes, I want the Dharma, Your Holiness. So he says, okay, you have to build the house. This many stories, from this quarry, from this stone quarry, water from this place, wood from this forest. You need to cut the wood, you get the stone, you carry it back, and you don't get anybody to help you. There's a conditions. You don't get anyone to help you, you don't get anyone to assist you, and you got to do it all yourself. So he carried stones from one quarry to the place where his guru told him to build a house until his back was raw, and the flesh was coming out. And he built up the house. I don't know, it was like, how many, anybody remember? 6 stories, 7 stories? He built up the house out of stone. After he finished, this is historical. Historical. It is not legend. After he built up the house, he went back to Milarepa and said, guess what? I built up the house. So the guru was very happy. Marpa went with Milarepa to the house, and he looked at it, and guess what? The guru had eagle eyes. The guru had eagle eyes. It was better than Gong Gong's eyes. He had eagle eyes. And you know what? He said, but that beam's been put wrongly. And Milarepa was like, dun, 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 dun. So Milarepa said, well, I can just change this floor. Milarepa said, no. You have to take every single stone back to where you found it. Every single piece of stone, mortar, and whatever wood back to where you found it. And then bring it all back and redo it till it's perfect. And rolling his eyes was an understatement. Rolling his eyes. I'm not kidding. I'm making it more modern, but that's exactly how they wrote it. Milarepa was so disheartened. He was so sad. He was so disappointed. He can barely walk. His fingers are to the bone. He's dark. He's skinny. He's undernourished. His back and the flesh is exposed. He hasn't slept. And then he built the house from his own hands. And still, Marpa Monster wasn't happy. Still. And then listen to this. It wasn't good enough that there was a mistake and he just fixes that floor. The whole thing has to be done over. So Milarepa sat down and said, okay, I can leave now. No, really, he thought, I can leave now. That's it. I had enough. This is a monster. Then he said, where would I go? You know what kept him going? What kept him going was he listened to his mother, and he had murdered all his relatives that abused him and his parents and his mother when he was a child. And after he murdered people, and he saw the dead bodies, and he saw the corpses, and he saw the pain and all the problems he created, the regret and the fear was deep in him. And he had no one to go to, nowhere to go, and he was scared stiff. So he said, okay, if I leave Marpa, where do I go? What do I do now? What do I do? Okay, I just stay. Okay, he said, oh, never mind. I'll fix up this one house. After this, I'll get Dharma teachings. So he did. And you know what? After he finished the second house, the same thing. Marpa came and he saw a mistake. So Milarepa went, oh my God! I mean, talk about he needed counseling for paranoia. I'm not kidding. He was so paranoid. He was like, oh my God, what's wrong now? I mean, he looked at the house, he climbed every floor, he took torchlight at night. I'm not talking about your inverter charged torchlight. I'm talking about firewood, with fire on the end. And he went inside, he's like, any mistakes, anything. When the sun came out, he was looking all over. Because you know what? He didn't really want to build this over again. So he said to himself, let me make sure the house is perfect before Eagle Eye shows up. No, really, he had all kinds of bitchy thoughts in his head because he still had this conception of how a guru should be. So what's the problem with if you have a conception how a guru should be? Then you suffer because you have a conception of how friends should be, people should be, the Dharma should be, the world should be, and that's what makes you suffer. That preconceived, stuck conception. That's what the guru was trying to break through. The guru wasn't trying to make Milarepa look at him as perfect and fabulous and wonderful, and that he's free of fault. The guru was using himself as a target to break Milarepa's preconceived conceptions of how things should be. And that's what made Milarepa suffer. So once he can break that preconception or that conception or that projection, everything that Milarepa perceives in the world will be different. Do you know everything becomes flowers and beautiful and wonderful? Everything. Because you changed yourself. That's how the guru was skillfully helping Milarepa. But Milarepa didn't realize it. So he was having a panic attack. He was having anxiety attacks. He needed counseling. He needed help. He was undernourished. He was tired. And he was totally paranoid. And you know what? His paranoia really, really paid off because the guru came and saw another mistake. The window was done wrong. The window was not done according to the measurements that Marpa wanted. So Miller was like, maybe we put a curtain on it. maybe we can just not stay near this window. Maybe we can stay near another window that's all right. So he has to change the whole thing because the windows were wrong. So Miller was like, all right, I know. The stone's back to the same quarry. The wood back to the same forest. No one's supposed to help me. And I'm supposed to start from scratch. You don't have to tell me. Go back to your home. I'll serve your dinner. I'll serve your food. I'll get your water. I'll watch your baby. I'll get the dung. I'll plow the fields and build the house. I know. Don't even tell me, Guru. And Marpa's like, oh, smart. So Marpa, the Guru, gallivanted back to his house. You know, like, oh. The slave. And you know, while you listen to this, while he was building the house, he had to also cook, plow the fields, watch that damn baby, and collect the dung, and harvest the field. And the harvest had to be harvested because there was no food if there's no harvest. Barley. He has to harvest it. And you know, that river has to be, like 50 kilometers away. And he's like, this does not help. So he did it again. And when he built up the third house, Marpa came along, the direction of the floor was wrong. The way he laid the stones. After Marpa left, Milarepa broke down and cried. He cried and sobbed because it was just too much already. I mean, this is not a guru, it's not a demon, it's hell. He broke down and he sobbed and cried and sobbed, and he was just beyond control. And he was so sad, he didn't even go to the wife to ask for help, or pity, or compassion. He was just beyond any. After he cried, he slept, he woke up. He just said, okay, let me just do it again. Whatever is whatever. That's when his preconceptions and his ego started to wear off. He started just to accept. After building 13 houses, and the Dalai Lama tells the story quite often, and Dalai Lama folds his hands to Milarepa. After he built the house 13 times, according to the way, the windows have to be correct, the floor, the lining, okay, the leveling, the timber, everything was perfect. Then Milarepa says, he invites his guru, and this time, you know what? You know what was amazing? He invited Milarepa, and he said to himself, I will accept what my guru tells me. I'll do whatever he says. If he says do the house again, I'll do it again. And it wasn't like a resignation, like whatever, I'll just do whatever you want because I have nowhere to go. It was an acceptance. I will do what my guru says. And if he doesn't like the house, I'll do it over. And whatever he gives me the teachings, I'll receive the teachings. And he wasn't cold about it. He didn't lose feeling, like, whatever. He didn't become cold. He didn't become angry. He didn't become distant, like, your mind just goes, he didn't have multiple personalities, like, hello, Fred, hello, Mila. There was no multiple personalities. Sometimes when it's extreme, we have multiple personalities to deal with it. Mila, do you like your guru? Oh, I love my guru. Do you like my guru? And Fred says, I hate him. I wish he was dead. I mean, it's really Mila saying it, but multiple personalities arise in psychology when you can't deal with extreme situations. So you deal with it by escaping into another person. A person that can lash out when you don't dare to lash out. I mean, that was in psychology. All right, now, so Mila wasn't Mila, Fred, Suzanne, and John, and Bernie. It was just Mila still. So he just accepted. He just let go. He just let go. He just accepted, and he said, whatever Marpa says, I accept. And his spirit was not broken down. He didn't become cold. He didn't become distant. He didn't have any negative psychological problem. And I need to know, Geshe-la said during his teachings, every time he beat Milarepa, he did beat Milarepa sometimes, he beat him with a stick. Every time he scolded him, every time Milarepa ran away, unofficially a few times, Marpa asked his wife to bring a butter lamp. And he would go to his altar and make offerings to the Buddha and pray for Milarepa and say, may my student realize what I'm doing. May my student not give up hope. May my student come back. May my student complete his training. May I bring my student to the most highest level of life. Marpa would pray like that every single day. Every time he beat Milarepa, every time he abused him, every time he shouted, every time Milarepa ran away, his guru would be on the altar with a butter lamp. The wife recounted this, praying for his student, hoping he will realize. Why? Because if the student died, he would take birth in 3 lower realms. And the reason for that is he's committed so much negative karma during his lifetime. And the guru has so much compassion. But the guru was incredible because another part was because he was able to do so much damage, because the disciple was so bitchy and evil and was so smart to be able to kill so many people and was so arrogant and was so incredibly fixated, he also knew that you needed intelligence to be like that. You see, you can't be stupid to do all those things and get away with it. But the guru also knew that Milarepa was very intelligent, very quick, and very smart and sharp. So if he can turn him around, that same intelligence can be used to benefit others. Hence, Marpa was very compassionate to Milarepa, but never openly showed it. Because he wanted to break Milarepa's conceptions of how things should be. And that's what made Milarepa kill. That's what made Milarepa unhappy. That's why Milarepa had to run away. That's why people in his town wanted to tear him apart, and that was the truth. They wanted to kill him and tear him apart and burn him. Because of his anger, because of his false ideas, he had all those people murdered. So Milarepa was very intelligent. At the same time, Marpa can see that. So Marpa wanted to turn his actions around, purify him, and make him something more. So therefore, at the end of the 13th house, Marpa prepared a special seat and a special drink and special clothes, and had Milarepa wash, and had Milarepa prepare himself. And at the door, Milarepa was given saffron water, which is very rare, to purify you spit out to purify your innards before initiation. And he brought his disciple in, and he didn't even give him preliminary teachings. He didn't give him any preliminary, because the years of building the house was the teaching, to break his ego. And you know what? He sat him down, and immediately, in fresh clothes, on a throne, and even called him affectionately my son. And he gave him the complete initiation, oral transmission, commentary, and meditation on Hiruka. Complete. Together with Vajagani's practice. He gave the complete 100% practice to his disciple. His disciple was flabbergasted. But you know what? Milarepa wasn't flabbergasted as in like, wow. He was so rejoiceful he can receive the Dharma. And all the years of torture he received from his guru melted away. And at that moment he realized what the guru was doing to him. And he couldn't stop crying. He couldn't stop crying. He broke down. This time, it was the tears of liberation. It wasn't the tears of like hopelessness. So, and let me tell you, his wife even chastised the guru. The wife chastised Marpa and said, "Why do you torture the students so much? Why?" And Marpa would say to her, "Shut up, I know what I'm doing." Even the neighbors started staying away. Even the neighbors started gossiping. What happened to Marpa? He's usually so kind. He's usually so giving. He's usually so, like, what's that called when you're accommodating. Why does he torture this person? Even the neighbors and villagers were gossiping. And his wife even chastised him. And he told the wife, "Shut up. You don't know what I'm doing. Don't criticize. Don't think you support me. Go away." So, at the end, the neighborhood realized. The wife realized. And Milarepa received the complete teachings, plus the 6 yogas of Naropa. And that's what he's famous for. The whole Kaju school of lineage starts from Milarepa. Karmapa's lineage, karma, all that starts from Milarepa. Because of Milarepa, the karma Kajus exist. And you know what? One of the main practices of the karma Kaju is the 6 yogas of Naropa. Incredible. So therefore, Milarepa went to the cave and meditated. Within a few months, I think about 5 to 6 months in the cave, he received signs. He came down and he reported to his guru. He talked to his guru, and his guru said, "Very good. Next step, this one." He went back, he came back, he went back, he came back, until he achieved pure 100% Mahamudra Siddhi, full enlightenment. And in Tibet, in this region, people saw Milarepa many times. And Milarepa was so incredibly persistent and very stable in his practice. His whole hue of his skin turned greenish blue because he didn't want to waste 1 minute of his time to do secular work because he had done too much. He would eat the nettles near his cave. There would be a growth of nettles, and he would take that and pluck the nettle leaves and eat that and meditate, pluck and eat. The only time he left his cave was when he went down to his guru to report what was going on in his meditations. He didn't have anything. He didn't have people come and make offerings. In fact, he became so haggard and so skinny, and his hue changed so much he scared people. There were people in other villages saying there's some scary demon in there. I mean, Tibetans that time, they're uneducated, they're backwards, and they see a green man, they're like, oh my God. These days they say it's UFO. That time they say it's a demon. So they were scared. People didn't want to go up there to make offerings to him in the cave because they were scared. They were worried. They're like, what is it? Who is it? What will you do to us? So anyways, when he attained Mahamudra Siddhi, one of his most beautiful ways of conveying the Dharma was through poems and songs. And he had a beautiful voice, and people would hear him chanting his realizations in poetic form, which is all recorded in poetic form, poetic verses. And he would always chant and chant and chant and chant. And when people walk by, or herders or farmers, when they hear, what would happen? Because of his realizations and his guru devotion, their minds would change on the spot from hearing his voice. Immediately when they hear, you would see in tankas, people would put down their walking stick and their animals or whatever, and they would immediately sit nearby the cave and listen. And he became very, very famous for that. Very, very famous for his poetic teachings and singing the Dharma. And hence, even in that area, it's recorded that they have seen him fly many, many, many times. That he would have a white meditation shawl. He would flap it like this, and he would fly. Do you know, I have talked and I've listened to some monks that before the fall of Tibet, in their regions, heard High Lama Sami, they have seen with their own eyes some monks flying. And the way they fly is they open their Zen, they hold it like this, and they levitate into the air. And the reason for that is in the 6 yogas of Naropa, there's a particular practice to make your body very light. Very, very light. There's another practice of yoga, which is you eat 1 pill a day so you don't have to eat anymore. You don't have to eat at all. This is not, maybe, this phenomenon is still happening now. Why did Tibet develop such a system of practice? Because food was scarce. And in winters, you can't get it. So you can take 1 pill a day to survive. And the way to survive is you absorb the sunlight. And the sunlight, like a plant, like photosynthesis, it will be transformed into energy to live. So Milarepa became one of the greatest meditation masters and greatest teachers. And he composed many, many, many verses of praise and prayers and meditations to his Guru Marpa. After he became enlightened, let me tell you something. He didn't pray to his Idam. He didn't pray to the protectors. He didn't pray to Dakinis. He only prayed to his Guru Marpa. Always. And why? His whole preconception of how the world should be, how people should be, how situations should be, and the anger that arose when the situation was not fitting of his projection. Because when he thought it should be this way and this way and this way, and it wasn't that way, or people or situations didn't happen the way he wanted, he became angry. He became impatient, and he showed it. He was impatient and he was angry to the point of rudeness. Why? Because in his mind he was thinking, it should be this way, why aren't you doing it this way? I've done it this way and it worked. You didn't do it this way, and it didn't work. You did it this way, it didn't work. I did it this way, it worked. You're not doing it this way. He becomes angry. He becomes impatient, and he shows it. So hence, what happens is, when he had this projection of how the whole planet and the world should be, he suffered to the point where his anger overtook him, and he murdered, killed. He murdered and killed to get revenge for what was done to his family. And so hence, on top of this projection, the negative karma of killing so many people and its after effects was very strong on his mind. Very strong. So because he has this projection of how the world should be, he has a projection how people should be, how samsara should be, he has a projection how his village should be, and the villager should be, and he even has a projection of how his guru should be. And when you have that kind of projection, and you have that kind of stuck emotional grasping. How do you move to the next level? How does anyone teach you anything? How does anyone share anything with you? You know better than everybody. You're the best. You're the most fantastic. You know everything. Since you're the best, you're the fantastic, you know everything. How can anyone teach you? How could you even fold your hands to a guru who may be attained? How can you? Because your self-projection is so strong. Your self of I is so strong. This self of I is different than the Western concept of self-confidence. Self-confidence and self-I is different. Self-confidence is when you've done something compassionately and well and successful, and you share that with others with great patience. That's self-confidence. Self-grasping, or I, me, is you want things your way. When things are not your way, you assert yourself to the point of being harmful to others. So the self-grasping of I, me, is very different than self-confidence. Self-grasping of I is you want things your way, and if you have money, if you have position, if you have connection, you have friends, you use these connections, business and friends, to assert it your way, and if you're not, you're offended and you get people back or you snub them. Remember, I'm not going to say the name, remember what I told you guys? Ayayula! As an example. No names, please. Ayayula! Okay? Now, when you have this strong self-grasping of I, it must be my way, if you don't have any resources or people or whatever, you just get angry and just sit there. We know some ex-KMP people like that. You just sit there and you just get angry. And you just shout at the whole world. Now, there are people with a very strong self-grasping I who have money, who have connections, who have power. And they will get you back for that. And they will use that on you. But my question is this, is that whether you have power to exert your self-grasping mind or you don't have power, in the end, you lose all power. In the end, you will lose it all. You will fade and fade and fade until you die. Buddha died. The queen and kings of Thailand and Japan and England, all that have died. And they have the best doctors, the best facilities. They all died. Jesus had to die. So definitely we have to die. So hence, Milarepa he was ready for the Dharma teachings. He was ready for the higher Dharma teachings when his preliminary practices were fulfilled. So the preliminary practices was destroying one's preconceived ideas of how things should be. I want you all to think about it with your intelligent, educated minds. The preconceived ideas of how things should be is what makes us lazy. It's what makes us angry. It's what makes us irresponsible. It's what makes us stuck or stubborn. Some of us are very stubborn. It must be my way. And we'll spend hours and hours and hours discussing with people why things must be my way. And we're very stuck. And we're very stubborn, like an ox. Just, it must be this way. And if it's not this way, they become very, very unhappy about it. So, when you have a strong, wrong sense of grasping, you become stubborn. Or you become angry. Or you become uncaring. Some people become cold. You slap 20 people, they say, whatever. You give presents to 20 people, they're like, whatever. They become cold. Why do they become cold? It's because their strong sense of self-grasping and selfish mind is very, very, very strong. And how that self-grasping mind manifests with each person is according to their training. So when they're little, if they shout and scream and make a big scene and they get what they want, when they grow up, they're going to do the same thing. When they're little and they're abused by very strong people, they just turn off. They just turn off to the abuse. So when they grow up, when people are doing things similar, they just turn off. Because their self-grasping is very strong. When they're little, because their self-grasping is so strong, they let your mother and their father, their brothers, their uncles, sisters do everything. And their brothers and fathers and sisters do everything. And they do everything as they like. So when they grow up, they become highly irresponsible. Why do they become highly irresponsible? Because they're used to their self-grasping mind saying, you do it. So when they grow up and they're in their 20s and 30s and they should be adults, they're not adults. They still are dependent on everybody around them. They're still lazy and irresponsible. Why? Because their self-grasping mind manifests in that way. Because of their environmental conditioning. So if they're young and they have everything, they're little princes and princesses, when they just make a noise and the parents buy 10 fishes, they buy a giraffe, they buy a cockatoo, and they buy a house, they buy a new car. Don't cry anymore, my little princess, please. You'll get anything you want. So when they grow up, they're going to have the same attitude. This cannot, that cannot. They have mood swings. They go up and down. They're unhappy. They complain. Sometimes they're laying out in their bed like, oh, I don't think I can handle it. And what went wrong? Their petrol in their car ran out. So they pressed for a week. Because last time when anything went wrong, their parents gave them a zoo to make them happy. Parents gave them clowns. The whole Ringling Brothers circus was brought over to make them happy because their lollipop dropped on the floor. Can you imagine a little princess dropped their lollipop? And then the mother said, stop crying, my little princess. You're such a wonderful little thing. You're going to grow up and marry a handsome prince and he's going to be straight. And he's great and he's fabulous and he's wonderful and he's going to take care of you. Don't cry. It's just a lollipop. We have another 500 lollipop. All right, I'll bring you to circus. I'll buy you the zoo. I'll buy you 20 cars, a new dress, I'll buy you Barbie dolls, whole collection. Here you are. Okay, I'm happy now. And then they get trained that way. So when they grow up, when tiny little thing goes wrong, they cannot tahan. And they expect the same type of environmental nurturing again. Some people become very cold. They become totally cold. Nothing registers. You slap the crap out of them, they're sitting there like... You tell the whole world, hey, you know what? I found out your father's a queen. They're like... They're just told, they don't feel anything. That's how they adjusted to their self-grasping mind. Some people become controlling, neurotic. What time is the meeting? What seat am I sitting on? What color is the seat? Is it facing the sun? Is the aircon blowing on me? Do I get a pen or do I bring my own? And what kind of pen? Is it ballpoint or what? What color is the pen? Is it fine point? And who else is coming to the meeting? What are they wearing? What are we drinking? They become totally controlling. They become neurotic. Because why? That's how their self-grasping mind manifests when they were growing up, because the environmental conditions allowed it. Some people, they grow up to have power, influence, and friends. And when they're young, when they didn't get their way, they can say, Mommy, fire the maid. Mommy, fire the butler. Mommy, fire the driver. He looked at me. Mommy, get rid of the gardener. So when they grow up, they've grown up into wealth and affluence, they have friends, they have position, they have powers. So what they do is if you offend them, they cut their connections. They stop all connections. They make sure you fail. They make sure you fall down. And that's how they manipulate you. Why? That comes from a strong sense of the selfish. It must be my way, my concept, my design. So some people are lazy. So therefore, think about it. What I'm teaching you, you think about where the source of all these emotional manifestations come from. A, the source of the emotional manifestation for a princess, for Mr. Lazy, for Miss Cocky, for spoiled brat, for princesses, for neuroticism, for control. All this comes from what? It comes from the self-grasping mind. And some people, very, very stubborn. Oh my God, for one teeny little point, you got to talk to them for 1 week, and they're like, no. And then they're going to tell you their opinion. It's like one whole book, they explain to you why, and you're like, you know what, could you just like give in once? Can I just win? Can I show you this way? And you're like, oh. And you're like, wait a minute. Remember you told me, compassion. Om Shanti. Om, I will not stab him. Om, I'm not going to kick him. Om, I do not quit. Om, I will not burn him. Om. And they're still going on and on about and they just won't change at all. You know why? They're so afraid to be wrong. They're so afraid to look bad. And they have so much fear. They cannot be softer. And they cannot do things another way. Because they just can't stand to lose. Because when they were growing up, they were put down. When they were growing up, the neighbors put them down. People put them down. People made them feel small. So when they grow up, they have power. They have some education. They can speak. They're adults. They're strong. They're big. They want to assert that. To never feel like they're put down. And you know what's the sad part? What put them down is not people winning. What puts them down is their fear. that their self-grasping mind, protection of their self-grasping mind. That's their fear. That's why people are very stubborn. So when you study the Dharma and you listen to this and you look at people's emotions, it's very easy to profile people. Why is it easy to profile them? You just look at them one day, a few hours, you see how they act, how they sit, how they talk, what they do, what their expression is, how they even the tone of their voice. A master can profile that person very easily and apply the appropriate Dharma. Why is that? He applies the appropriate Dharma because he cares. And he gives the appropriate Dharma because he's studied and he's practiced. And the person who receives it has affinity with the Lama very strongly. So therefore, those who are very lazy and push responsibilities onto others, and you have to remind them all the time, is because their self-grasping mind is so strong. And the environmental conditions when they were growing up were so perfect for them to enact that laziness. They got used to it. So as an adult, they become useless. They become losers. Sorry to say, they become losers. They become people that people don't respect and people you have to push, and people just go, I don't really want to work with this person. I like this person, but I don't want to work. Why? The environmental conditions. Then then that's one type, lazy, irresponsible. It all leads back to self-grasping mind. Another one is people who are spoiled rotten, cannot tahan even a small bit of difficulty or problems, and they go into mood swings, they go into, they're not happy, they're spoiled brats. Why? It's not as they projected when they were growing up. The way they grew up, it was planted in their brain, it should be this way, this way, this way, this way. And the brain accepted it because they were too selfish to think otherwise. Selfishness doesn't come from one lifetime, it's many lifetimes. And then there are people who just say, I couldn't deal with it. Or there are just people who deal with everything. They're neurotic. They want to control everything. And then there are people who use their influence and power to threaten you to do it their way. And then there are people who have nothing, who have no power, no influence, nothing. And they just show a lot of anger. Why? All of those emotions and more all stem back to the self-cherishing mind, where I, me, myself must win. And let me make a differentiation again. This is not self-confidence. Self-confidence is allowing others space and to win and to nurture and to help and to love and to let them do things and to let them be skillfully change them. And you're confident about it and you're happy about it and you accept them. That's self-confidence. But asserting your way in a non-professional manner, just for the sake of it, is because you're afraid of losing what you're comfortable with, the way you grew up. So hence all those from the self-grasping mind. Milarepa, as I said in his biography just now, part of it, his Guru Marpa was so skillful. He completely eradicated that self-projecting mind. And hence, the highest tantras, such as Vajragini, Hiruka, was conveyed and conferred onto Milarepa. And by the way, within a few months, he attained. Today, Milarepa is not a legend. He is a historical person that became a legend. He is well known for having great attainments. He is well known for being a great inspiration. He is well known for being a fully enlightened being by conquering his ego. So hence, in each day and age, in each place and time, and in each realm and dimension, we have different distractions. We have different ways of manifesting our distractions. We have different types of problems and situations. But an enlightened mind, a compassionate mind, will always manifest in those realms, time, space, and dimension to give the Dharma appropriately to those people at that time. And why? Because ego remains the same. It's timeless, it's spaceless, and it's dimensionless. The ego remains the same. Compassion also is timeless, spaceless, and dimensionless. Those who have compassion, they are beyond space, time, and dimension. Those who have big ego are beyond time, space, and dimension. Why? The ego will always reincarnate due to karma. So ego and compassion are timeless, spaceless, and dimensionless. Hence, according to the particular time, the particular space, and the particular situation, the Lama will give training to the students to overcome this type of self-projection that restricts them. People who have a lot of self-projection, you know what? One sign that you have a lot of self-projection, I'll give you a sign, you can check, is that you think you're free to do anything you want. I'm free. It's a free world. I can do what I want. I can do as I like. That's a clear sign. I do as I like. It doesn't matter what people think. I do as I like. When they say that enough times, you can ask them, who are you trying to convince that you're not free? Simple. That's a very clear sign that they're not free. All right. Now, a person who's free is ever happy and excited to help you. Ever happy and excited to take on sufferings like sickness or difficulties for others. Ever happy and excited to give up their wealth for others. Ever happy and excited to share and to give and to exist for others. That's a person with freedom. That's a person who has destroyed their ego or near destruction of their ego. That's true freedom. Freedom of the ego, of thinking that you have freedom, is definitely you don't have freedom. Because real freedom is compassion. Real freedom is wisdom. Real freedom is liberating others effortlessly. Life after life after life. And you never say, oh God, I quit the Dharma, see you later, it's too much. Enlightened people will never say that. Enlightened people will never say that. Enlightened people will never say, oh my God, I dropped my lollipop, see you later, it's a big obstacle, I'm not going to deal with it anymore. No, enlightened people don't do that. So that's a clear sign of freedom and lack of freedom. Clear sign. Now, Milarepa overcame that, hence he can do tantric practice. If we wish to do tantric practice today, imagine if Tenrimji told someone, oh, guess what? Can you go to Genting and build up 13 houses? You know what they do? The first thing they do is they go to a toy store and buy a kite for me. And you know what they tell me to do with that kite. So in this space and time, people these days, if they use that type of methods that Marpa did to Milarepa, they'd get a kite. They'd say, go fly a kite. I'm not going to follow this guru. He's crazy. He wants me to build a house. What about my nails? He's crazy. I've got a life. I have things to do. I have to eat. I have to meet these people. I have to be here. I have to fly here. I have to talk here, and I have to sleep here, and they make up a whole bunch of schedules for themselves to keep themselves very busy because they're important, or they're not important. So hence, in this day and time, you don't send people to build houses. You have them renovated. Yes, you have them renovate the house. And you have them renovate the department. You have them do fundraising. You know why you make them do fundraising? It's because they gotta beg, and nobody likes to beg. And as long as you hate to beg, you can check the level of ego. Buddha Shakyamuni has a begging bowl. He begs all the time for his food. His whole life he begged. Until he died. The last meal he had as a Buddha, he begged. For God's sakes, he can just say to the gods, can you bring me nectar? They'll bring it down immediately, offer it to him. He didn't want nectar. He wanted to beg in the village. So hence, you make people paint. You make people do retreats. You chase people out and ignore them for a month or two. Sometimes you give them a nice, delicious slap on their face. Of course, you do it lovingly, so they don't report you to police. Yes, that's right. And then you tell them to donate 100,000 to Cage, and they're like, no, I can't. Although they got 3 million, can you go 100 measly thousand? No. Okay, 100,000 to build 13 houses. All right, 100,000. How do you do that? And you make people who want to do this and this and this. Say, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this Dharma work? Can you write books? Can you paint? Can you give food to the homeless? Can you raise funds? Can you open a restaurant? Can you fly to Kathmandu? Can you do this retreat? You make them do all of that. And they do it until they don't feel anything. And I'm not talking about a cold person. I'm talking about, okay, I'll do anything that helps others. Then and only then you convert the tantric teachings on them. Because if they tell you, oh, I gotta make money, oh, I got a girlfriend, oh no, my boyfriend says no, oh, my wife cannot, oh, I've gotta be here, I gotta fly there, I've gotta go to this place, I gotta go to that place, and they all say all this to you until they stop saying all that, you never give them tantric teachings. Because if you do, you're a commercial lama. So let them waste 10, 20, 30, 40 years and hope they realize. Because a lot of people, due to environmental conditions, the way they watch their parents grow up, the way they watch their parents struggle and chase for money and look for money and use money as an excuse, they grow up chasing money and looking for money and wanting money. And they think that's happy. They watch their parents chase after a relationship, live with their husband, live with their wife, and they think that's happiness. Because that's their environmental conditioning. So they grow up looking for relationships, thinking they'll be happy, they won't be. They grow up looking for money, thinking if I have money security, they won't be happy. Look, if you drop dead tonight, what's your relationship and money, or you have and don't have, going to help you? How's it going to help anybody? So they have that environmental conditioning. Hence, it's very important for us to get Dharma into Malaysia, into that region. Why? Well, not that Malaysia. That region is because we need to re-educate the people so the next generation can be better. Much better. Let's say the young people in this group, very rare, but the young people in this group gets married and they have kids. Their kids will be different than them, as they are already different than their parents. Their parents is different than, they are different than their parents. They are more flexible, they'll do more Dharma, they're willing to give up their personal pursuits for the Dharma, but their parents are not. If you look at people in this room, their parents, it's money, grandchildren, funds, happy, house and car, and that's what they want. And then on their spare time, they do a little Dharma. That's that generation. Why? Because their parents never showed them a better example. Now their kids, if they had shown them a better example, will do Dharma. Then their kids will do Dharma, they'll do Dharma. That's how Tibet became a very powerful Dharmic institution, teaching Dharma around the world. It took several generations. So ours is the pioneer generation. That's why I always said ours is the pioneer. But to be a pioneer, you don't wait till your personal affairs are perfect and in order, because that will never happiness in samsara. Nobody ever has a perfect condition to practice Dharma and any practice. Nobody. You read any biography. So if you wait till you paid off this bill, you wait till this is finished, you wait till that's finished, you wait till this comes to end, something else will come, something else will come, something else will come, something else will come. Manifestation of your negative karma. You will never finish. Till you're 40 or 50, maybe you start doing a little Dharma. But how much can you do at that time? Because a lifetime ugly habituation to cut off. So if you love others, you won't worry about yourself. If you care about others, you won't worry about relationship. If you care about other people's welfare, you won't worry about your own funds or your own money. You won't worry about all that. Why? Those are just excuses to cover your selfish mind. That's really what it is. If you check it out clearly, it's really what it is. Hence, Milarepa conquered that. That's why when he received the tantric teachings, that's why his guru never gave it to him for over a decade. Over a decade. He slaved for his guru. Just think these days I call up people and say, oh, could you go to Jai Just Go and get me a rice steamer? They make a big deal. Let me check my appointment book. Let me see if I can pull myself away from my kids. Well, I had a dinner, and I had to go to the bank. All right, Rimji, I'll squeeze it in. And then we come back, they go, look what I did for you. And I was thinking to myself, okay, it's going to be 4 lifetimes before I give you Vajra. 4 lifetimes. Well, what can I do? What can I do? So hence, tantric teachings are conferred when your self-grasping mind is really down to almost nothing. Then a new concept can come, and you can perceive yourself as a deity and become a deity, become a Buddha. So the Lama will use many methods. A real Lama will use many methods to change people's perception and change people's mind so that their perceptions don't make them suffer and chain them down anymore. That's what a real Lama will do. So most of us who come in and meet that type of person will have criticism, will have doubt, will have negative thoughts all the time about this person. Do you know why? Because the minute you meet your Lama, he assaults your ego. The minute you meet your Lama, if he kisses you, he smooches up to you. He kisses you and he just lets you do anything you want. Better be careful. Because it's not your enlightenment he wants. It's maybe your bank account, your services, and your practice. But the minute you meet your Lama, indirectly or directly, he will assault your ego. Do you know why? Because he loves you. And because he doesn't want you to suffer. And when he loves you, it's not like God loves you. It's more, he has great compassion. He doesn't want you to suffer. Great compassion. So hence, the different departments are different methods for us to cut and destroy the self-grasping mind. The more we make it successful, the more we take responsibility for different departments, the more we will see our ego become less and less and less and less. So therefore, Today I gave you a little talk on ego, and I gave you a different perspective of where a neurosis and our laziness and our lack of being able to tahan or put up with difficulties, or the way we want things, or our bitchiness, or even our coldness, or our lack of feeling arises from. Today I gave you an explanation of all these neurotic types of manifestations of our mind and how they arise. I gave you in full 100% detailed explanation, and in your language. Why? I promise you from the bottom of my heart, if what I have spoken today and you do, you will see a change in your mind. What changes? Lighter. Things that have disturbed you for a long time that you bury deeply will surface, manifest, and go away. They'll never come back again. Your expectations around people who have hurt you, the expectations you have people around that hurt you so badly, and you know what? Because you're so afraid of the pain, you do other things to push the thought of the pain away. You will experience that. You will see yourself more easygoing, more flexible, and more open. And you will see your whole point of concentration go from food, entertainment, socialization, relationships, money, sleep, environment, clothes, to compassion, to working for others' benefit, to taking meaning in your life, to bringing meaning to other people's lives. You will see your whole focus change. That will be the automatic reaction. And you know what? What I mentioned won't happen in one huge enlightened shot. It will come in stages. Suddenly you're talking with a person and you say, hey, that person's not so stubborn anymore. That person listens to my point of view and respects my point of view. And you know what? That person even lets me do it and make a mistake and forgives me to help me to learn. What happened? You know what? This person is very polite now. This person is so polite. What happened? Because last time, if it didn't go their way, they would be bitchy, or they'll show you ways of they'll show you body language of their displeasure. Why are they looking at me? Why are they looking me in the eye and smiling? And why are they looking at me even though I'm frustrating the crap out of them? Why? Why are they so polite in their body language to me now? Why? You will see the difference in their mind. Then you see that last time, the little lollipop dropper now can put up with electricians, painters, carpenters, nightmare electricians, nightmare contractors. And you know what? And they want to do more. And they can do it. What happens? What happened to that person? Then you will see people who are nonchalant, no feeling, no type of feeling at all, become warm, become caring. And you know what? No matter what the difficulties are that is related to or similar to their growing up experiences of people who are not nice to them, is washed away. They become very caring. And that's the best therapy for people who've been abused. For people who've been abused, hurt, mentally, psychologically, physically, or they've always been put down nonstop. You know what happens? They become very caring. Because they realize that that's an experience they had due to their karma. But it's not an experience they need to continue. Because they cut the karma. So you find people who are irresponsible and lazy. Irresponsible. They always push the work to others. People always have to double check their work. Suddenly they give you perfect work. Doesn't have it. Or even slight minor mistakes. They say, oh, sorry. And they start becoming more and more and more responsible. Do you know why? Because they realize that that's not the way to happiness for themselves and others. And that they've been torturing themselves because they allow people to put them down. They allow people to talk negatively. They allow people to scold them. They allow it. Why do they allow that? Because they produce that type of work. So when they produce that type of work, they incur other people's wrath. And you know, they have more compassion for people because they don't want to see people angry and unhappy and shouting and screaming and losing their equilibrium. They don't want that. So you know what they do? They start doing their work well. You know why? Because they realize others are more important. the whole spectrum of the mind will change. If what I have explained for the last 1.5 hours, you really take to heart, don't forget what I've explained. And combine that with the 5 preliminary practices. Badalam, Mandala, prostrations, Guru Yoga, Vajrasattva. As I said the first day, the best service is to one's Lama. The best. That's the closest training you can get. If not, the 4 preliminaries. And then what I explained, what I talked about, you do it. I promise you, if you do what I say, you will see a change in your mind. Do you know why I know? Because that's what happened to me. I come from a very ugly background, an abused background, and a lot of suffering and a lot of difficulties. I don't have revenge and anger and all that. I'm not showing off, I really don't. This is self-counseling. And a lot of these teachings I read in Dharma books and I received from Geshe Gyaltsen. A lot of these teachings when I was very young and angry and upset. And a lot of projections. So Dharma does work. And how I brought it to you is I didn't open up a Lamrim book and start talking about ego, because the Lamrim book is thick and big, the words are small, and everybody has an appointment, and everybody's busy, and everybody's distracted. You know what? I took the essence of that chapter and I shared it to you, interwoven with a story from one of the greatest saints of Tibet. And I also applied it to a current example for all of you for the last 1.5 hours. Why did I do that? Because I want you to be my slaves? No. I don't want you to be a slave, full stop. And you have been a slave. To your anger, to your coldness, to your hiding, to your frivolity, to your concept of money and relationships. In fact, if anyone stops you from doing the Dharma, you allow them to collect a huge amount of negative karma to never meet the Dharma in the future. Never. That's the facts. That's the facts. And I have many scriptural sources to prove that. So if you keep using another person as an excuse for not doing the Dharma, it's actually you. It's not even them. If it is them at all. If it is them, it's very bad for them. But they can do that because you allow it. You allow it. Today's world, most of the world is a free world. Most of the world is a free world. The only place that's not free is the world within our minds. That's the truth. So therefore, what I've explained to you guys today, it's been a privilege to explain. And I need to tell you something that's really strange. It all came out very smooth and perfectly. And I've been teaching for 20 years. And sometimes the teaching just doesn't come out. I can't remember, I can't recall, I don't even know what's the next sentence I want to say. The previous sentence I forgot. I'm not kidding you. Today it came out extremely smooth and clean and clear. And I would have to say that it must be, or credit that to the group listening. The karma is ripened already. So what I've spoken to you today is not for you to be my slave, or to justify, or to clarify anything. What I told you today is how I really think and operate. So therefore, sharing what I spoke about today helps you to know me better. It helps you to know yourself better, because you can use what I spoke about as a meter, as a gauge, because I didn't make it up. That's from the Lamrim. We received the Lamrim from Kyabje Songrinji. So hence, what I've spoken to you will help you to know you better, and will help you to know me better, and help you to know what you're supposed to do with your life. And you know what? If you're not accomplishing something in your life, what I just spoke about will help you to accomplish it. If you apply what I've spoken about today. So therefore, the more exposure we have with our Lama, the more exposure we have time with our Lama, the more teachings we can listen to our Lama, the more you get knowledge. And you know what happens? When you get the knowledge, you apply and you change and you gain control. It's not about Guru worship. You gain power and you gain control. Anything realized from the talk I just gave, anything you have realized, or anything has a little bit of, oh, let's not say a light bulb, maybe a Christmas light came on. Anything. Yokfui, anything?
Yes. Whatever the Guru gives us, training or teaching, ultimately is to benefit ourselves. And it's not to benefit the Guru.
It's a little deeper than that, my dear friend. It's not about whatever the guru gives you, but that's all right. That's all right. You can be my slave. It's not about what the guru gives you, and then it's training a little deeper. It's a little deeper than that. What happened if the guru is dead? Then your theory is wrong. Or, I'm sorry, your theory doesn't apply fully. What happens if your guru dies? And there are people who practice after the guru dies and they still gain attainments. So, what do? You go to his stupa and say, oh, tell me what to do. Tell me, send me a psychic message. I don't think so. Not bad, not bad. All right, you can. That's all right. What about you? Oh. Sao Chen? See, this is Namo Guru Namo Padai Namo Namo Sagaya. Okay, go ahead.
Of the whole 1.5 hours talk,
it was 1 hour and 34 minutes actually, but it's all right. I'm not trying to control anything here.
I think what is very clear now is, like you said, the only place that's not free is your own mind. So actually you made up everything for yourself, your conditions or whatever.
Very good. You made it all up.
Yeah.
And you know how you made it up? Because of the way you grew up and your
also,
environment.
You don't want to face it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like you say, hiding. I don't do this, I don't do this. Why? You give all your own reasons. But at the end, when you do it, well, you have done it.
And let me tell you something. You know what's the best protection during death? For me, I always think about that. Best protection is to let go. Just let go and work 100% for the benefit of others. And let go of all your other preconceptions. And when you die that way, you die peacefully, you take good rebirth. Because when you die peacefully, you open up the seeds of your virtuous merits that you've done for your lifetime. That's the truth. Very good. Very, very good.
Well, I like a few parts of what you said.
What's that? Please share.
I like the part of Milarepa.
Did you like my version of how he thought and his mind games?
Very much.
Don't you like it? But
I
isn't
relate
it,
very
isn't it very real?
It is.
I mean, they don't write it like that in the Dharma books, but isn't it really like that? He was thinking, you can go fly at somebody. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, that part, and also the part that he gave up, and then he continued.
He gave up so many times, and that was physically he gave up. Emotionally, he gave up hundreds of times, hundreds. He had so much doubts in his gurus, unbelievable. If you read between the lines in his biography, you go, oh my God, that sounds like me. I'm not kidding. I read his biography about 24, 25 years ago. I haven't read it since, but I remembered it. Yeah, when I was in America, I was in my room reading it. I wasn't allowed to because I got caught. It's the end. So I'd read it illegally. Under the covers, I used to read it.
Mapa offered the Barala when he ran away. Yeah, that part because...
Why?
Because it revealed for a moment what the Lama's true intentions are, despite all the severe, harsh treatment.
Yes.
And also later part when on your commentary was about different people and their dispositions and how we are shackled by, basically what they say there's so lot, but how, besides that, also how when you apply the methods, how we will feel when we overcome that and enjoy, because each people
The
have
signs of having overcome that, the feeling you will feel, right? You like that?
Yeah.
Is that a nice result to have?
Yes. It's like what you said about...
Do you know that when you're lazy and you push your responsibilities onto others, when you let go of that, you know what happens? This is what happens. You have great joy to do the extra work and extra responsibility. And when you did yours, you do more. And you don't find it a burden, you don't feel lazy. Do you know why? Because the basis of it is gone. Which is self-gain for yourself. Like if I get extra time, I can do what I want, let them do it, who cares? I have other entertainment. And we've been used to that for our environment. So, in fact, we'll be very happy to do our responsibility with a lot of passion and extra, and we'll do more. And we won't even feel any pain because the source of that pain is gone, not the responsibility. So responsibility is not what causes the pain. The source of that is what causes the pain. The self-grasping mind that wishes to take advantage. Very good.
To me was the part where you were talking about when Milarepa went to his
Yes.
student and got the permission from
The wife.
Papa's wife, and then the signs didn't come, and then the part on well, actually, it's not so much that, it's just that the signs of realization that you were talking, you were elaborating, seem to reflect on your commentary later when you said, well, it's back to the same thing, it's about when we apply the methods.
You see, when he went to the second guru, he was escaping, using that as an escape from himself again. That's why he gained no realization. Although outwardly it looked like Dharma practice and meditation and caves and diligent, and he was very diligent, as I said. He was so diligent he wouldn't go out to eat the nettles. My point is, diligence wasn't lacking. He was escaping from himself again when he ran to the other Lama. And that also relates to the 50 verses of Guru Devotion, Guru Panchasika texts, that says very clearly, if one does not have one permission from one's Lama to receive teachings from anywhere else, whatever teachings one gets, one will not gain realization. And that's why in my Gurus for Hire, Enlightenment for Sale, I mentioned very clearly, I don't like center hopping and I don't like Lama hopping. One Lama, one center, one lineage. Respect all, follow one. Respect all, follow one. And I base my teachings on Gurus for Enlightenment and Gurus for Higher Enlightenment Sale on the 50 verses of Guru Devotion. I didn't make up those teachings. It just didn't come to my mind. But I apply it in more contemporary circumstances. So therefore, why I encourage the one Guru, one center, one lineage practice in my Dharma center is not because I don't respect other centers. No. It's because I respect the other centers so much, I do it one. Because that one Guru, one center policy applies to them also. If people from other centers come, you know my policy. You be nice to them, be kind, answer the question, ask them, go back to their Guru, go back to their center. Because when you encourage center hopping and Lama hopping, you encourage broken samaya among Guru and students. If a student asks me, may I go to another Lama, all that stuff? If the Lama's not my Guru, I'll say, better not. Better stay and do what we do. If they want to go to one of my Gurus, I cannot say no. Wrong or right, I cannot say no because it's my Guru. Their choice. So my point is, what is Gurus for Hire, Enlightenment for Sale is 100% based on Guru Panchasika, the 50 verses of Guru Devotion by Ashvagosha. 100%. I did not pull that out of the air. And I only made it very contemporary, and I added one new phenomenon. That phenomenon was the mushrooming of Dharma centers around the world. You see, because Buddhism is not like the Vatican where they have a vast store of money and they could just send priests and send cardinals and send bishops or whatever to a country or place and just build from a central fund. And later when they build, their flocks come, and then from their flocks they can take a percentage and take the money back and give it back to the Vatican. We don't have that. We don't have a Buddhist Vatican. Buddhism is when a teacher goes out, you're on your own. Really is you're on your own. Buddha set that up. So I can't go to our leader, His Holiness Dalai Lama, and say, "Oh, can I have 300 million, interest-free, no timeline to build TKL so I can glorify Tsongkhapa?" No such thing. But maybe the Vatican, you have that system. Okay, now, so there's this. So Dharma is spreading through Dharma centers around the world, where the centers have become temples, the temples have become institutions, the institutions become legends over time. Like that's what happened to Ganden Monastery. It became a legend. It's a legend now, 600 years old. So hence, in Gurus for Higher Enlightenment for Sale, I mentioned specifically, I don't like Guru hopping, center hopping, and lineage hopping, teacher hopping. Why? You destroy yourself. Then you're not here, you're not there. Look, if your teaching is giving a teaching, you should be there. If your teaching is doing something, you should be there. If you're somewhere else, it reflects your mind. It reflects who you are. It reflects how you have not even finished one and you're jumping somewhere else. That's based on those teachings. 1, 2, if you hop from lineage to lineage, there's nothing wrong with any of the other lineages. There's never been anything wrong. And if anybody tells you there's something wrong with this lineage, that lineage, remember this key. If anyone tells you there's anything wrong with this lineage or that lineage, you say to that person, thank you very much. I've got something to do. I've got to go now. Because if a Gelupa criticizes another lineage criticizes another lineage, Gelupa, Nyingma, Sakya, whatever, wrong. Wrong. I'll give you the basis. If any of the lineages are wrong, that means in that lineage they have 0 enlightened beings. That's not true. That's not true. So there's no enlightened beings in Nyingma? No lah. There's no enlightened beings in Gelugpa? No way. There's no enlightened beings in Thailand? No way. There's no enlightened beings in China, in Mahayana system, in Japan, in Zen? No, definitely not. So if there's no enlightened being, that's proof that that lineage is wrong, but that's not the case. So you can use logic. If anyone says, oh, that teaching is wrong, Gelugpa's wrong, Sakya's wrong, Nyingma's wrong, Sakya's wrong, or like Hinayana's wrong, Mahayana, anybody says that to you, cut them off politely and with compassion say, I don't want to engage in this because I don't agree. Sorry. That's all. Because if your merits are low and they put things into your head, you can be turned to think otherwise. Nothing worse than sectarianism. Nothing worse. So for gurus and higher, I want that. I want centers to respect each other. I want centers to stop trying to gain membership at the cost of Buddhism in general. I want centers to stop trying to gain membership and sponsorship for their holy projects by unholy means. Putting another Lama down, criticizing another lineage, putting down monks, putting down a certain set of teachings, putting down a certain practice. Why are you putting down those practices? Why are you putting down the lineage? Why are you putting down the Lama? Why? Because you want those people to lose faith in what they're doing, so they come to what you're doing, so you get the money and the support to build your holy temple. Holy schmoly. That's what you're doing. That's why in Kuala Lumpur, I am very against center hopping and a Lama hopping. And I know people who hop to every single Lama who shows up in town. If you ask them who or what lineage they are, they don't know. It's Rojak. It really is. And you know what happens? In the end, their mind is Rojak. They don't know what's going on. And I have met people in the last 20 years whose minds are completely mixed up. They're not crazy. No. They just mix up. They don't know what. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know how. They are very confused. I met them. I won't name any names, but I met not one or two, quite a many. My point is, that's why gurus for hire, enlightenment for sale. I stress one Lama, one lineage, one teaching, one practice. Why? Who made who the spiritual police? Who made anyone the spiritual police? Who made anyone the spiritual heir to be the police of the whole Buddhist world? Who? Who has the right to criticize anyone? No one has that right. So hence, what's very important is this, is people who criticize other lamas and centers, and people who put other lineages down and practices, for whatever validation, whatever big names they use, whatever big people have said this and this, whatever big quotes they give, 99% of the time is not because they're out for your welfare. 99% is to debunk your faith and bring you over to their practice and their lineage. One, to show off to people, see how good I am, I can bring these people over. It's another fear tactic. Number two, it is to create membership and money in their center. And three, it is to show everybody how good they are. And let me share something with you. But you see, the projects that they tell you are always holy. They want to make a statue, they want to help the monks, they want to build a temple, and they tell you that, so come to them and help and donate and whatever, right? Their objective is very holy. But after they build their center, people in that center cannot gain attainments. Do you know why? Because the basis of that building was negativity. So although the center may be big and large and huge, people in that center will not transform and gain attainments because the foundation was already broken. Do you understand? So if you have murdered 500 people and robbed them blind and build a care center, I don't think many people come to your care center if they knew the history or be involved or participate. So your care center will never care for anybody. Do you understand my meaning? So hence, centers who grow, listen carefully, centers who grow at the expense of other centers and lamas will never gain attainments in their center because they have contributed to the broken samaya of that student and their lama by infecting their mind with negative, ugly, mean, fallacious talk. So once they lose faith in their lama, they join a new lama, no attainments. and their center will never grow and increase. Their center growth is, I need to tell people here, growth is not money. Growth is not building. Growth is not material things in your center. Wow, we built a 10-story center. Wow, we got all sponsors. Everybody in the group is a dansri, whatever. That's not growth. Growth, according to Lama Tsongkhapa, is inner growth. Let me explain why briefly and directly. Because all outer growth is going to decompose, degenerate, and go back to dust in the ground. So why is a big building, why is getting money and sponsors growth? Those will decompose. Those will degenerate and be destroyed. But inner growth, inner attainments, never ever degenerate, never decompose. Even when your body rots to the ground, even when your body completely becomes dust and sand again, your mind still is growing. Whether you take on a formless existence or a formed existence, sutta, sume, whether you take on a form or formless existence, your mind will continue to grow and remain at its growth level. Hence, when I say growth in a center, don't be taken aback when people do nasty things and evil things and their center is growing, they can raise funds, they get a new building, they bought their own building. Big deal. Big deal. So what? That's people who don't understand what growth is. Hence, I'll give you logic. If you think that's growth, does that mean Milarepa never grew? Milarepa didn't have any temples. He didn't build anything. His abode was a cave in a mountain with nettle. So Milarepa never grew? No. Milarepa grew farther than anybody in the world. So hence, growth, other centers who grow, inverted commas, materialistically grow, at the expense of other centers, they will continue to materialistically grow. Negative karma breeds negative karma. But spiritually, they will not grow. They'll have initiations, they'll have teachings, they'll have ceremonies, they'll have offerings, they'll have events, but they don't grow. Do you know why they don't grow? Because the growth is, we're talking about inside. Buddha didn't have any temples. Buddha didn't have anything. He grew, he became a Buddha. You know, hello, hi, Buddha. Think about it. Tsongkhapa. Toward the end of his life, Tsongkhapa built Ganden Monastery and died in Ganden Monastery. But his whole life he practiced in caves and secluded places all over the place. He wandered like a nomad getting teachings. He had 45 gurus. My point is very simple. When he went from one guru to another, he learned all he can from that guru. And the gurus themselves said, oh, Losang Trapa, that's his name. Oh, Losang Trapa, you go to this guru, I heard they can give you this knowledge. Because during Tsongkhapa's time, not one guru knew everything. It's only during Tsongkhapa's time that he gathered all the teachings and gathered into one. So Gelugpa is a synthesis of Nyingma, Kagyu, and Sakya. And how did it become the synthesis? Because Lama Tsongkhapa went and studied under 45 teachers of those three great, fabulous, unmistaken lineages. Lama Tsongkhapa had great Nyingma gurus, great Kagyu gurus, great Sakya gurus, and he combined all those teachings into one. So at his time, there was no one person who knew everything. But there were many people who knew one thing very well and became enlightened. There were very enlightened masters in Nyingma, Sakya, Kagyu. Very, very enlightened. They were fully enlightened. But they didn't know, the Nyingma didn't know Sakya or Kagyu, just for example's sake. Lama Tsongkhapa was the first person to absorb all this, realize it, and become a master of all trades. All. So that's why Gelugpa is very special. That's why Gelugpa has a very special respect for Nyingma, Kagyu, and Sakya. So when you practice Gelugpa, you don't have to practice anything else, because everything is included. Everything. Look at the great masters that Gelugpa has produced, such as the Dalai Lama, such as the Panchen Lama. They're as famous as the sun and the moon in Tibet. The sun and the moon. Nobody on this planet doesn't know what a sun and the moon is. Whether you speak Chinese or English or Tibetan or whatever, every language has a word for sun and moon. Even in barbaric land, like unga, 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 unga. Everybody's got a word for it. You know what I mean? That's how famous the sun and moon is. So when you say a Lama is famous as sun and moon, nobody in Tibet didn't know who Panchen Lama and Dalai Lama was. And they were direct disciples of the great, incomparable Tsongkhapa. So hence, when you see the disciples, you gain faith in the actual Buddha. This exists because of Tsongkhapa. We're here because of Tsongkhapa, by the way. We're sitting here talking about the mind because of Tsongkhapa. Even that kind of direct influence he has in our lives. So to have a Tsongkhapa statue, to have a Tsongkhapa tanka, to do Tsongkhapa retreats, to do Tsongkhapa mantra, and to promote Lama Tsongkhapa's practice, you will bring the same benefits to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. If you have any sense in your mind and you have any merit, you will live the rest of your life promoting Lama Tsongkhapa's practice, teachings, image, statues, meditations, and recitations. There is no more meaningful activity than that for a layperson who's not a monastic, who doesn't have much time. Promote Tsongkhapa, talk about Tsongkhapa, explain about Tsongkhapa, master Tsongkhapa, understand what his body looks like, understand his biography, understand his teachings as much as you can, know his mantras, know his meditations, receive his lineage, receive his oral transmissions, and share with other people. There is no more meaningful in life than that for a non-monastic. But while you're spreading Tsongkhapa to other people, you must develop the very qualities that you are spreading. Compassion, fortitude. So hence, Dalai Lama exists because Tsongkhapa exists. Trijang Rinpoche exists, Gandhi exists, Sarah exists, Drepul exists because Tsongkhapa existed. And all these great masters that are running around the world, all these great masters traveling compassionately around the world, most of the names you mentioned is because of the kindness of Lama Tsongkhapa. They exist. So, if you see a well-groomed, wonderful, mannered, educated, very polite, wonderful son, then you can pretty much think that the parents are pretty great, because that's the result of the parents. If you see the son as, well, like that lah, you know the parents are like that lah. So hence, well, don't look at me and think about Tsongkhapa, please. I put my own foot in my mouth. Okay, never mind. Now, my point is what is simple. All these have existed because of Lama Tsongkhapa, although he has died. Vajrayogini is in front of us with a perfect practice because of Lama Tsongkhapa. Even her iconography is perfect because of Lama Tsongkhapa. Imagine all this. And our retreat lands will manifest and benefit hundreds and thousands of people because of Lama Tsongkhapa. Because I'm creating it together with you, and I exist because Gandhin exists. Gandhin exists because Lama Tsongkhapa existed. Again, Lama Tsongkhapa. So if you say, I don't have that much time, but I want to do everything I can, promote Tsongkhapa. Tirelessly promote Tsongkhapa. Okay? Now, one Lama, one center, one lineage is not at the expense of other lineages. It's at the respect of other lineages. Because if you practice well, it looks good for all Buddha Dharma. Doesn't it? They're not going to say, oh, he's a Gelugpa Buddha. They're going to say he's a Buddha. What about Gelugpa Buddha? What about Nyingma Buddha? Which Buddha? Hey, hello Shakyamuni, are you Nyingma? Let me think about it. Come on. Hey Tara, are you Gelugpa? Let me think about it. Well, maybe I am. Should I get a yellow hat? Oh, please, Tara. You're not Tara. You're a manifestation of a Mara. What Buddha has got a lineage? Think about it. When you become a Buddha, it benefits all Buddha Dharma. It gives courage to all. When you become a Buddha. You don't become a Gelugpa Buddha, do you? Is there a Gelugpa Buddha here? People say, oh, Tsongkhapa's Gelugpa. My foot! He's a Buddha, not Gelugpa Buddha. There's no such thing as a Gelugpa Buddha. Anybody says he's a Gelugpa Buddha, we can debate with them. And if they still want to fight about it, you go for lunch and you come back. Let them fight it out with themselves. Now, so in Gurus of Higher Enlightenment for Sale, I'm very, very strong on not making your Dharma center grow at the expense of others. I'm talking about physical, materialistic growth, Inner growth will never happen. So that's why we must create harmony. We must let people know how to interact with each other. We must make this set of teachings very available for others in many languages. Do you know why? It will help the phenomenon of the mushrooming of Dharma centers around the world, who fight, who conflict, who point fingers, who are competitive for negative reasons. We must help. During previously, there's no such phenomenon center, so we don't need to talk about that. All right? Now, I'm going to end here. But the basis of what I talked about is how and where the neurotic mind and its manifestations appear and why they appear. That was the basis of today's talk. And the reason I talked about that is because many people have worked very hard for the different departments. And I want to reward them with an understanding of why they are working in their departments. And this doesn't just apply in our beautiful sacred KH and its 12 departments. This applies to every single individual on this planet who works for their Dharma, for their center, for their Lama. Every person. So I hope these teachings will reach many people's homes so that they will understand why they're working for the Dharma, why they're working for the Lama, why they are working for their center. This doesn't apply to you, it's universal. So hence, many people work in the departments, and many people who will come, share with them the reason, explain them to the reason, and compassionately speak to them about the reason. So people have a firm basis of why they're working for the Dharma and be very happy about it. Does everybody understand?